everyone, it's Victoria, and I'm absolutely delighted to be joined by my amazing friend Danielle Brown. I've known Danielle for 3 or 4 years, and we've had some absolutely hilarious times together. The first time I met her was at Prescott Shooting School on a really chilly day in the Cotswolds. There was this great big smile that just came over, and from there I just knew we were going to be really good friends. So Danielle has absolutely smashed it on the clay shooting scene in a relatively short time, and I'm so excited to have her here today to share her story, which I hope you'll love. So Danielle, great to have you. So first up, for those who don't know you, could you just tell us a little bit more about who you are, where you're from, and kind of where you are now with your shooting?
So Danielle Brown, I live in a small pocket of rural Herefordshire near Ross and Wye, but I was originally from Berkshire in Maidenhead and moved to the area about 17 years ago. No hobbies or anything, stumbled into Victoria's website when I got invited to a game shoot and didn't know what to wear, and then found the legend that is Victoria and her Shotgun and Chelsea Bun Club. And I remember to this day emailing you saying, can I come along and have a go at clay shooting? Came to my first event, like you said, and then just got the bug and became addicted. And 5 years later, nearly, here I am shooting every week. Just loving it, would shoot every day if I could. So just really, you've brought clay shooting into my life, much to my husband's disgust.
It cost you a lot of money. Oh, that's amazing. So can you tell us, so obviously you started with the Chelsea Bun Club, which is amazing and pleases me, but could you tell us like what your shooting journeys look like? Over the past few years, you've absolutely smashed it, and you were 0.8% off making B class. So here in the UK, that's like the classification system for registered shooting. So can you just tell us how you've got to the point where you are now, please?
So I was shooting with Bun Club regularly for about 2 years, and it was a way of getting out and going out shooting with ladies. And then my mum bought me a lesson at a local playground. So I went along to that, to this lovely man, Steve, and he said, he runs an open shoot every Sunday. And he said, you're welcome to come down. He said, I'll put you with some men. He said, there's some men I can put you with, but there's some men I definitely won't put you with. And it kind of started from there. So every Sunday, and by this point, I'd already bought my own gun and bringing it to bun clubs. So every Sunday I would go and shoot with a bunch of men who I referred to as my rough diamonds, and just loved it. And then there was a sign he had in his shooting ground that said, without coaching, you're just practicing your own mistakes. And although the targets were the same every week, I knew I just wasn't really progressing. Mm-hmm. I had a lesson with this particular gentleman, but it just didn't really click for me. So I thought, right, I need to have some lessons somewhere else and find an at the same time, I started thinking about trying to go for a registered shoot because I'm quite competitive and thinking I was getting quite good. To go to a registered, I thought, it's just the next thing to do, be easy almost. I was so arrogant, really. And then went to my first registered, which was actually November 2015, and I scored 28. So that smacked me back down to earth, and I realised I needed an instructor that could bring me onto those type of targets. I found the instructor there, and then probably sort of every 3 to 4 weeks committed to lessons and just still doing like regular registered shoots, and then going back to my original ground with my rough diamonds for a bit of practice. And then just building on that, really, and just sort of keeping that flow, keeping it regular. I then got to a point where I thought, I sort of peaked, and I thought, I'm not really getting any better scores. So decided to look for a different instructor, and scores have just soared again. So the last 6 months has really been about, a lot of people in the clay world will say your average isn't important. It's not important, but it is a measure to myself on how my shooting is getting better. So classifications come out to say what class you're in, which is like a handicap system for the clay shooting world. To miss out on the next class up by 0.08% was a little bit gutting, but it also said to me, I'm not ready to go up in a. So I'm just going to continue and strengthen my position in my current C class as someone to sandbagging and hopefully get a few podium finishes. That would be nice, but it's just all about practice, and I say practice makes progress. So that's me in 5 years.
Great advice. Yeah, it's so good. So I wanted to ask you a question. So taking it right back to that first registered that you just talked about. So you pulled up in the car park, you got out, you got your gun out, you headed over to the clubhouse. So how were you feeling, and how did you kind of approach your first registered? Were you like, nervous, or, how did you kind of,
Just to be honest, I just didn't know what to expect. And I've heard from friends through other bun club meetings, like the formalities, like to go and register for my card. I remember registering with the CPSA only 2 weeks before that shoot, and I was just desperate to get my number so I can go and do my first shoot. I knew that first registered was at Longridge, which is only half an hour from my house. I'm desperate to make that on that early November date. So it's just like determination. So went in, signed up, got my form, got my bits out of the car. I did have a friend with me, and that was one of my rough diamond friends. Oh. And so I thought, okay, we'll just go around stand to stand with the card and take each one as it comes. But he didn't do as well as I thought he might do. I definitely didn't do as well as I thought I would do. And then I just got this shock of like, I've never seen targets like this before. Literally, I've only ever shot, bun club style targets and my club targets. But these registered targets were just so very different. And only now, looking back on them, do I appreciate the technicality of them all and how one needs to look at them to attack them. I was just completely clueless and out of my depth. But it was a massive kick up the bum to think, okay, if I want to get better, this is the next step. And if I want to, for me, it's like doing that first shoot is about putting your first score on your card. You can only better that. You can only go up from there, was my logic.
Love it.
And yourself as your own competition. It's just about every time I go out, I don't care what other people shoot. I just want to get better, and I always want to shoot more and more each time. And that's why an average system works, because we do have our up and down days. But I think, well, I'm shooting higher than my average. Again, averages aren't important apparently, but like I said, it's your own personal measure of how you're getting on, really.
Love it. And I just love that kind of like that tenacity and that kind of like laser like focus that you've got, and how you just like shut everything else out around you and you just keep your eyes on the prize, don't you? And I just love that about you. So have you faced any challenges or roadblocks or anything along your kind of journey that perhaps caught you off guard a little bit, other than the targets that you mentioned at that first registered shoot?
So going back from that story about going to my first shoot, I got a bit addicted to wanting to do better and go to registered shoots. And you have to travel to some of these shoots, because I'm not lucky enough to have loads on my doorstep, but I would just turn up on my own because I just wanted to do better than that 28. I just wanted to have another go. But I've since learned that going on your own when you're starting out isn't the right thing to do. You turn up at a stand, there's no one. If you're with other people, you can take it in turns as who's going to go first. But if you're on your own, you can't. You're always going first. Unless there's someone already on the stand, you're not going to get any look at the targets. And it can be quite lonely, really, just, and if you're missing targets, thinking, well, I don't know where I'm missing them. Not that you could be told at the time, but when you walk away, if you're with a buddy, they could say, oh, you're above it, or, you weren't getting to it quick enough, and just sort of bring back that connection of where you were. So I never really did very well by going on my own. So then the next thing to do is, well, I need to find some mates. I've got to find my squad to go round to these grounds with. But I find the shooting community one of the friendliest communities I've ever come into touch with. And whatever ground you go to, there's always regulars. And where I was having my lessons, a lot of those people I met there would go around to the shoots that I would travel to. And then it was just putting my big brave girl pants on and saying to someone, would you mind coming round with me? Or can I follow you around the course? And they're always going to say yes. And then it's just about making friends, and then you can just sort of pay a bit more attention about, what they're doing. I always find one of the easiest ways to learn something is to pay attention to the people in front of you.
Mm.
And as lady shots, and well, anyone shooting, we're always perhaps worried about people watching us. I'm not watching anyone thinking, oh, are they hitting it or not? But I'm watching them to see what they're doing, how they're setting up, where are they starting their gun, where are they picking up the target, where are they taking their shot. And you soon learn who are the ones to watch and who aren't the ones to watch in a nice way. But I think that's the best thing. And at the ground that I was having lessons at Longridge, I was lucky that they did this thing called Friday Club. So you could pop along, and they were high standard AA class shooters, and to just shoot with them and watch them, I'd take it all in. And then come a Sunday at a registered, it was about putting into practice the learning that you're getting. So yeah, to me, it was just about finding really a support network, and
just absorbing as much as you can.
somebody next to you to just, keep you going, really, because I find it's draining shooting competitions because, again, only now, here I am 5 years later, where you're having to pay so much attention to every single target on every single stand that I never used to do before. But that's the difference to me shooting like a high 70s. Like my personal best at the minute is 79. I'm so desperate to get my 80. But look at me, the girl that was shooting 28, thinking she was quite good. So it takes time.
Yeah, it does, absolutely. So what do you think your recipe for success has been? Would you say it's like mindset or coaching, that kind of laser-like focus, confidence, or a mixture of all? Or would you think it would be something else?
I think it's really about, I put a lot of time and money into my shooting. I'm a really competitive person. My husband's very competitive. And I just want to be the best that I can be. Like I said, it's not about anyone else. It's just about being there and being the shooter that I want to be. So by investing in lessons and practicing and really paying attention to what those people have to say to you, it's giving them the respect that they deserve, because, although you're paying them, obviously, they're giving you their valid knowledge that you, your pupils. So you want to do them proud. Like at the minute, for John, I really want to get my 80 because we've been working so hard on it. It's just, just really being dedicated. And then the second thing I've learnt, as a girl, my brain is full of like music and songs, and I'm just sort of going la 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 la. And between stand, it's just a mess. I can just be trying to take a shot, and I'll think, oh, there's a bird in the sky, or oh, what's that in the distance? And I get so easily distracted that it was impacting my score. So it's like, right, I need to sort out my focus. And part of that is being confident as well, and really going into that stand knowing you can shoot that. There's no target I haven't seen or shot before. I once heard a saying that confidence is your best friend. And if confidence was a flower, you don't, as a flower, compete with the flowers next to you. You bloom the best that you can bloom. So for me, it's about showing that confidence, knowing I can do it, and just looking at the target with sheer determination and think of nothing else other than that target. And it's amazing that you actually hit it when you have an attitude like that. So because we've had the lessons, we know how to shoot it. It's just when you need to.
You're such an inspiration. It's just awesome. So before we wrap it up, so there'll be women who are perhaps thinking about, watching this or listening to this, who are perhaps thinking about, they're kind of on the fence, and they're like, I want to do a registered, but, I'm just holding myself back, and I might not feel like I'm ready. And, do you have any kind of like pearls of wisdom for those women who just, want to get out there, but just aren't quite ready?
It was a bun club member that got me to do my first shoot, because she started shooting for a county as a result, and all she simply said was, give it a go and get that first score out of the way. It's never going to be your best score, and that's the score that you start your competition sort of career on. So you've just got to go and do it. Grab a friend if you want. I really recommend going with somebody. In the bun club community, there's so many people to just shout out to and say, you know, there's a competition on at this ground at the weekend, who wants to come with me? And I'm 99.99% sure someone will yell out and say, yeah, I'll come with you, I'll come with you. And just go and do it and experience it and see if it's for you and if you like it. And then it's not even about then shooting competitions all the time, but it's learning to go to the sort of grounds where they have competition targets set up so that you can at least go and practice on them and try and work to that next level. And competition is a step up from bun club events. Like I know with the 75 groups that you do, they are those targets are a bit more harder than obviously for the intermediates and beginners, but it's a good stepping stone to then go and try those competition targets. But we've just got to give it a go. And we love clay shooting, so what's not to love?
Okay, so we're just going to wrap it up now with a really short quick fire round. So if you could just finish the sentence, that would be super. So I wish I'd known this when I'd first started out.
I wish I'd known to have shooting lessons sooner when I was first starting out, because I read a lot in the groups about, sorry, I know it's quick fire, but I read a lot in the groups about ladies are struggling with certain shots, or they go out with their husbands and it's just not working for them. And I just think if you're going out by yourself and you've never had any instruction, you're never going to know how to improve, and you just really need someone to point you in the right direction.
Brilliant, love it. Okay, so next question, other than your gun, ammo, ear and eye protection, what can't you shoot without?
I've got to style it up with some kind of amazing hat. So I have got a very helpful wax barber cap, which I love. But now winter's coming, it's all about styling it up with like some massive fur pom-pom. So I literally stand out in a clay ground of khaki and brown because there's a purple pom-pom or an orange pom-pom bobbing along on some stand.
Love it, make your own rules. So my final quickfire question is, if money was no object, what would your dream gun be?
Controversial question, because in the clay ground world, everyone raves about their guns and, you know, you've got to have a Krieghoff and you've got to have this and that. It's got to be a Fabry if money was no option.
Nice.
Just had, 500,000, please.
Yeah, we can arrange that. Amazing. Yeah, I like it. Aim high. That's kind of the theme of this interview, isn't it? So it's been so awesome to chat to you, Dan, and I've loved. I've loved so much. Well, I've loved all of what you've said. Actually, I think it's so inspiring, as I keep saying. So if people want to get to know more about you, or perhaps follow your kind of progress, how's best for people to find you online?
For sort of the wider world, I use Instagram for my shooting journey, and you can find me at Queen Dan. Lots of selfies in pom-pom hats.
Love it. Twitter as well?
Yeah, at Danielle_L_B. But I try to keep Instagram for my shooting sort of journey. So. Perfect.
Awesome. Well, I encourage everyone to follow you, and I wish you all the best, and thank you so much. Take care.